Well, it's my clock says it's 6 after. Better to have 7 of us than none, so I'm more than happy to go. Welcome, Fred. Good to see you, Gary.
Glad to be here.
Judy and I are here.
Yeah. You'll see us in just a minute.
So that makes
Can't-
8.
Can't see you, but welcome,
Okay.
Stanley and Judy. Let's start with a show and tell. So if you have an item to show or tell us something, that's great. Fred, do you want to start, please?
I can. I have a cover that is sent from Antelope Valley, California to Phoenix and then forwarded to Fort Griffin, Texas. And then the envelope is addressed to Wright Moore, Mooar, who was one of the famous buffalo hunters. He allows that he probably killed about 20,000 buffalo himself.
Wow.
This is canceled in 1880 and then forwarded to Fort Griffin.
Interesting.
All right. Is that something you just recently got, Fred?
I've had it for a while, but what I have gotten recently is a book where Moore was interviewed by a writer who wrote down some of his dramatic escapades as a buffalo hunter. One of the stories is about he was getting set to shoot at a buffalo that was about 700 yards away, and when he looked further to his right, there was an Indian sitting there watching him. And when he fired, it took a while for the bullet to go the 700 yards, and he killed the buffalo with one shot. Well, the Indian got on his pony and rode back to the tribe. And years later, Moore met this Indian at one of the reservation meetings that they had, and it was Quanah Parker. He had witnessed Moore shoot this buffalo from 700 yards away. So they had a remembrance later on.
That has to be quite a gun rifle to go 700 yards.
It was a Sharps 50 caliber rifle.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Fred. Gene, do you have something for show and tell?
I had something and then Rick stole it from me. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
How'd you do that?
I had planned to do this back in November and didn't get around to it. Well, we won't meet in December, but I'll catch it all up in January. I was going to tell everybody about these. These are publications from professional stamp experts. I don't know what the regularity is, maybe once a year, once every 6 months or something. But these 3 volumes are great. They are not easy reading. They're not light reading. But the first one dealt with perforations, regumming, how the experts approach that sort of thing. The last 2 have dealt with color, as Rick explained in great detail in this month's newsletter. So there goes my show and tell. It's already been showed and told.
Yes,
Sorry about
All right.
that.
Thanks.
talk about it.
Judy, do you have anything for show and tell?
Yeah. Can you see us now?
I see a picture of you.
I'm sorry. It's not coming out very clear, but at least you're looking at us and not a salt shaker.
You look amazingly yet well.
Thank you.
You're talking out of the side of your mouth.
Yeah, look that.
So that's it, Judy, just the picture?
Just a picture, nothing else. Sorry.
Okay, Stanley, do you have something for show and tell?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you very much. John Withers, you're on mute. Do you have anything for show and tell? Welcome.
No, I'm just here to share the evening with you guys. I'll keep it on mute. I don't have anything for show or tell tonight.
All right, Gary McNamee.
Is this the 5 minutes we were talking about, or is this
No,
something?
no.
Okay, no, I don't have anything outside of the 5 minutes.
Okay, all right. Skip, anything for show and tell?
Nope, not tonight.
Okay, Rick?
Yeah, I got rid of my background so I can show this thing. I guess I'm doing it in reverse now. Hold on a second. There we go. American Philatelist. The guy who wrote this article about collecting worldwide stamps was actually in a stamp chat this weekend. And I got to talk to him. He's an interesting character, and he made me realize that I'm not the only idiot who thinks he can collect everything in the world. So he made me happy. I don't really have anything else. I wanted to mention that.
All right, thank you very much. We'll go on to announcements.
What about
Rick,
you?
Pardon? Yeah,
What about you?
I don't have anything for show and tell, to be honest with you. I'll take 5
mean
minutes.
You started this thing and you didn't have anything to share, huh?
No, sorry, Gene. I'll share with you on Thursday.
Okay.
Okay, Rick, do you have anything from APS about meetings, talks, or events that you can share with us?
Actually, I posted a whole bunch of events, a whole series of events on our Facebook page. If you guys haven't gotten on there, you really ought to get on the Facebook page and take a look at that. There is a gang of things going on, and I was really impressed with the number of women that are actually making presentations for different clubs. It's kind of interesting to see women actually taking such a huge jump and making these presentations. So I'd say good for them, good thing. But there's quite a few of them out there, and I can actually send anybody the list if they'd like to have it. I'll send it to you. I'll email it to you. It's a pretty, I think it's about 5 pages of different things going on up through May, I believe. So if you guys want that, just shoot me an email and I'll send it back to you.
That's a good way to do it, Rick. If we want it, we'll send you an email.
Okay.
If I can remember it tomorrow, I'll send you an email because I'm not into, what'd you say it was on Facebook?
Yeah, on Facebook.
I'm not a facer.
Well, we actually have a group out there, Mid-Cities Stamp Club, and there's probably 50 members of that group online. And they're not all club members, but they actually come into the Facebook group. So it's good exposure for the club, and it lets people be aware of the things that we're doing.
Mhm.
Uh-oh, Peter showed up, so I'm sure that'll take up some time.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Bravo.
Welcome, Peter.
Hey, howdy. Sorry, I just walked into my office, so after dinner, so.
We just finished show and tell, but we'll open it back up. Did you have anything you wish to show or tell us?
Well, I just walked into my office, so I really don't know.
Okay, I'll give you a chance to think about it. We'll go on to another item. I would have asked Rob Hathaway about the International Society of Worldwide Collectors, but he hasn't joined us. Gary, how did you do in the last auction they had?
Yeah, I didn't enter the last one. I have quite a few from the one before the last one that I was able to win or to have a winning bid anyway, but I didn't enter the last one. I was just tied up with other things.
Well, I was fortunate enough to win 3 items in the last one, and one of them was an accumulation of stamps from the Philippines, which fit perfectly within my collection. And I was very pleased to get it at a reasonable price.
Beautiful.
Okay, we'll move on. I would have asked Jim Myers if he had joined us to tell us about the Texas stamp dealers. Because Skip, you sent out an announcement, didn't you? Did you send it out, Skip, or was it?
Well, I forwarded it. Stanley is the one who sent it to me, and I forwarded Stanley's message.
Okay.
Jim got in touch with me by email a couple of days ago and asked me if I would take a look at the new Mid-City Stamp Club website. However, I asked him for a link to that website, and he hasn't gotten back to me yet. I know that he and Evan Islam have been working on that together, and I saw a preview of it that Evan showed us at the ULIS meeting, and it looks really impressive. So I'm hoping that Jim will get back to me pretty soon with a link to that, so I can help him out.
Okay, great.
It looked really good, though. I'm impressed.
All right. What I was referring to is the Texas Dealers Association stamp fairs. They have rescheduled 4 of them for 2021. The first one being April 9 and 10. They've moved their location. They were in Richardson to the Doubletree Hotel, also in Richardson. That's supposedly on the southeast corner of US 75 at Campbell Road, exit 26.
It's about a mile, exactly a mile further north. You know, instead of being at the corner of Arapahoe and Central Southwest, now it's the southwest corner of Campbell and 75. So still on the same side as 75, just one street exit further up.
Okay.
Which makes it 1 mile closer to my house.
Well, the shows are Friday from 10 to 5 and Saturday from 9 to 4. So if anyone's interested in going to Dallas or going to one of those shows, they have, what is it, 12 to 15 dealers usually?
8 to 10 probably is more like it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Peter. Another item is, let's go to Gary. If you've got a Where in the World Is It, Gary? I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. This country's first stamp was issued in 1865. Among the first stamps that they issued was a picture of Columbus, not a picture, but a drawing of Columbus sighting this country's coast. And some of the people that are on some of their early stamps include Francisco Morazan and Louis Bogran. In 1911, they celebrated in a stamp the 90th anniversary of their independence. And in 1912, they inaugurated a President Bonilla, and I am assured his name was not Bobby Bonilla, as a baseball player we may be familiar with, but I think his name was Manuel Bonilla. They have a city called Amapala. They also have a bridge, famous bridge, a railroad bridge across the Ulua River, U-L-U-A River. In looking at the entries, I did not see any stamps between 1944 and 1984. Don't know what was going on in regard to postage in that country at that time, but I did not see any stamps issued in that period. And then
Is
they
this a-
resumed.
Gary, is this a Caribbean island?
No, it is not. If I tell you the capital, it will give it away. It is on the coast. It's not an island.
Well, that would probably narrow it down to Argentina or Venezuela or something like that, unless it's like Suriname. Well, it's not Suriname because that's a French colony.
Yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you the capital, and then you'll know what it is. The capital is Tegucigalpa.
Well, that doesn't help me.
It doesn't help. Nobody knows Tegucigalpa?
Colombia.
No.
Honduras.
Honduras. Who was that?
That was me.
Okay.
Because I like
Jane.
saying,
Our professor.
Leave it to Gene.
I've
Gene, it
always
took you
enjoyed
a long time this,
You got
Gene,
it. You got it, Gene.
it took you a long time this month, Gene.
I told you I can't do two things at once. I'm taking notes.
Okay, thank you, Gary, for that
Uh-huh.
test that most of us failed. Okay, is there any other business before we start our program of sharing?
Well, I was going to say that's what I was going to do some sharing here, but that would have been my show and tell, but I guess I'll do it. I'll wait.
Okay, well, let's go. I determined that it might be interesting if we each took a few minutes to tell the group of what I collect. And, each participant can have up to 5 minutes to tell us about their collections, their interests, and anything else they'd like to share. With that, Fred, would you please start?
Sure. I collect a lot of Texas history stuff. There was a professor at the University of Texas that wrote a treatise talking about this settling the West and civilizing the West, and there were 6 important influences. They were the windmill, the barbed wire, newspapers, the 6-shooter, and the long rifle. And I collect a lot of things, advertising items with barbed wire, windmills, and I have several newspaper related items from not from early Texas, but starting in about 1870.
So is there a lot of stamps with barbed wire?
No, it's not stampless. They're from 1880.
No. I'm talking about stamps with barbed wire on them.
No, there are some stamps with barbed wire, but these are advertising on the other end of the envelope from the stamp. So it shows different types of barbed wire. There are about 2,000 different kinds of barbed wire. I have a 3-frame exhibit that's only been exhibited once. It was at the Texas Philatelic Rendezvous in 2012, and Nick Kirk was there with his New York foreign mail cancellation. So I got pretty well hoorah'd over that in comparison to his 6 frames. But I enjoy the advertising stuff, just as that there aren't very many church-related items. There are not many 6-gun or long gun related items, but I would be interested in those if I could find them.
I know a lot of those Winchester envelopes are pretty popular. They want a lot of money for those things.
They sure do. Yep.
Well, thank you, Fred. Appreciate that little touch of history and your exhibit that you referenced, I'm sure would fit very well in our own expo. I would encourage you to exhibit it at our show in November.
I could probably do that, Dave.
Okay. We'll go on. Stanley Christmas. Have you got anything you want to tell us about your collection?
Well, as most of you know, I do collect Christmas Island, the Indian Ocean. And I've got almost everything that was issued from 1958 on. So what I decided to do is I'm going to go back into the time when Christmas Island did not issue its own stamps. And to kind of give you a little background, in 1900, Christmas Island's postal service was established with the Strait settlements. And the Strait settlements took care of
down in Granbury.
Marco said he already done some of his. He said he totally caught up.
Peter, please put it on mute if you're going to carry on a conversation.
Oh, hold on. I don't, if I can figure out how to use the mute button here, sorry.
Usually lower left. Move your mouse.
No, let's see here, join with audio. Oh, sorry, I'm on the, which one am I on? I'm on this one here.
Okay, Stanley, continue,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, well, anyway, the Strait settlements took care of the post office and postage for the Christmas Island. And until 1942, when the Japanese invaded. And from 1942 to 1945, the islands were supported by postal service out of Java. And then in 1945, the British came back in and took back over Christmas Island. And at the same time, they established Malaya and Singapore. And they issued a called British Military Administration Series on Malaysian stamps. And that was from 1945 to 1948. In 1948, Singapore took over the postal service for the island, and they kept it going until 1958, when the island was assigned to Australia. And Australia Post has been responsible for their postage ever since. So what I did is I went and got on the eBay and bought a Stanley Gibbons catalog of Strait settlements in Singapore. And I'm in the process now of going through it and making my own pages of the stamps that were issued by Strait settlement, the British Military Authority in Singapore. I'm still having a little problem trying to figure out which Japanese occupation stamps were used, but that's another story. But anyway, I'm making my own pages, and then I'll eventually, once the pages are made, I will go ahead and start filling them up with stamps. And I figured, and there are cancels out with Christmas Island. Of course, they're pretty pricey, but I'll keep poking around. But that's kind of what I'm into right now.
Thank you, Stanley. That's something new I hadn't heard before. Judy, do you have something to share with us about your endeavors?
No, that's it. I, really stopped collecting around the first of, or the turn of the century. And I just keep up with Stan and what he's doing.
She pays the bills.
Yeah, I pay the bills.
Okay, thank you very much. Gene Atkinson, can you tell us about your collections?
Well, let's see. I started collecting back in 1949 and have been pretty active in it ever since. I still remember the very first approval books that I got from the Jamestown Stamp Company. There was a scent, a kind of a smell that those little booklets had, the paper, whatever it was. It had a very distinctive scent. I can still remember it. If I ever smelled it again, I know I would recognize it. I branched on into the United States, worked on that for a while, into Great Britain, Mexico, some of the big countries, Denmark, until I got to the point that I couldn't afford any of the others. Now, I save money every time there's a lottery by not playing it. And I save up my not playing the lottery money, and about once or twice a year, I buy one of the higher priced things for the British or the US or whatever. So that's kind of interesting. I'm waiting a Scott number 23 to arrive this week for my US collection. So that's one of the blue Franklins in the very early issues. So that'll be the one for 2021, I guess. After that, got into topicals. My dad was president of the local Rotary Club in 1955. So I've been collecting Rotary International on stamps ever since. I've got about 60 binders of Rotary on stamps in my major collection, and about 70 or 80 binders of duplicates of Rotary on stamps. So that has really been my main interest of late, although I've gone off into other things. The problem with Rotary here lately is that it has become too popular. We still have some of the legitimate stamp issues. This one just came about. This is Japan's honoring the 100th anniversary of Rotary in Japan. Now, that I consider fine. That's well and good and very legitimate. But mostly now what we're getting are African countries. Now, those are fine. They show Rotary International projects in these various countries. But in the last 5 years, we've had the 115th anniversary of Rotary and the 70th anniversary of the death of Rotary's founder, Paul Harris. And in the last 5 years, here are the stamps that we've had come out on that. Sierra Leone, Saint Tomé, Togo, Saint Tomé again, Togo again, Guinea again, Central Africa, Maldives, Mozambique, Guinea again, Saint Tomé again, Central Africa, Togo, Gabon, Guinea, Central Africa, Guinea-Bissau, Mozambique, Niger, Sierra Leone, Togo. You get the idea. Those stamps, I find them interesting because they tell a story about Rotary, but I doubt they ever even saw the countries they were supposed to come from. There is, however, a nice little firm in Lithuania that will sell you whatever you want of that, perforate, imperforate, souvenir sheets, perforate, imperforate, first day covers, perforate, imperforate. They do a great job of delivering it, but it sure does add up in money. The other problem is a lot of local Rotary clubs took advantage of their local postal changes to issue their own stamps. So you get these Zillow type stamps, you know, for each little club to celebrate some kind of anniversary. And they'll issue them in a quantity of 100. You know, one for every member of the club. Okay, great. What does that do for a worldwide collecting organization? So I've pretty much toned that back down and dealing with some of the dead countries of Scandinavia and world fairs and that sort of thing. Going back to the topicals that nobody else has picked up on. And of course, my collection of stamp hinges. I still believe that to be unique in the world.
Yes.
I'm now up to 4 of those triptych exhibits of commercial stamp hinges and dispensers and so
Well, you
on.
are
I've got
going to show that at the show, aren't you?
I had that at a show a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Brought it up to Grapevine and we set it up outside. Topper liked it. Everybody liked it, but it's kind of large to be hauling around. You know, those things don't fit into albums very well.
No.
Especially the dispensers. You know, the metal dispensers that shoot them out one at a time. Those just don't bind up real good.
No, they don't.
Well, thank you very much, Gene.
You bet.
Appreciate that. John Withers, you want to take it off, Mike, and share with us what you collect?
I came prepared tonight. Basically, as I think I mentioned back in October, and I looked at my printed presentation I did then, you know that I'm taking both my stamp collections and my cover collections and putting them into chronicle form for the kids and the grandchildren. And this Christmas, we used that theme to highlight the state of South Carolina. And I got a pretty interesting packet out to Skip Ely because I owed y'all some dues and everything. So in a few days, he should have a couple of examples of how I'm putting those together. And what we're basically doing, and I would like to try two things with you, and then I won't use my whole 5 minutes. First of all, one of the aspects of the Chronicles is, I don't know if y'all go far enough back and if you can see this, to the period where people used photographs and communities used photographs to pre-print postcards. They could deal with families. In this case, this is our family's home in Winnsboro, South Carolina, posted for my mother on her first trip to see her new in-laws in 1949. And the humorous aspect of chronicling your family, I was pointing out to my siblings when I told them I was going to let y'all in on this, is the stamp is on the card together with a note back to her mother saying they're going out to Winnsboro to see. She said the children are well, but naturally stinky as ever. And so that was myself at 5 and my little sister at 2. So basically, I'm finding with these chronicles that not only do you have these cards, which a lot of people don't know about, but you also have the stories that are told on the back of them. The thing I'd like to test with you real quick also is y'all are coming so fast along with this. I want to see if I can click something from my Mid-Cities folder and have it come up on your screen. I think Peter showed me how to do this last week. I think I hit the share screen button.
Right.
Oh no, it says the host is disabled screen sharing. Okay, so that's the key. So basically, I guess
try it now, John.
Okay, let me try it again. Okay, that's great. Now, I'm going to go to an example I had mentioned to Peter, I think, or Skip, about our TWA projects and everything. And I want to see if this comes up. Is that coming up on the screen?
No.
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay, then I have to learn how to do this better from Skip and everything. But
You hit the share screen button down there.
Yeah, I hit it once and it's got the screen up, but it looks like it's only seeing maybe your photo. Oh, oh no, that's your Mid-Cities folder. Okay, I'll have to, you guys are moving so fast in this, but I will click out of this.
Now your share screen showing.
There we go.
Okay.
There's your screen.
Boy, I thought I had a busy desktop.
Wow.
Well, let me see if this thing comes.
I actually got clean space on mine. Anyway.
Okay, is it coming up now?
Something
coming.
is.
Special group.
Oh, how pretty.
There it is.
Okay, this is so we're going to get this down because you guys are really leading the way on this. Let me see how I scroll now with this thing. So y'all are only seeing the one slide there.
Right, the Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas 64.
I won't do this now. I'll stop the sharing. But I just wanted you guys to know y'all are really coming along great in this thing. And I really appreciate y'all sharing all this knowledge with me. Maybe I got a nice full packet out to Skip with some examples of the books that we've written here in Connecticut with the Stamp Club, and also the holiday packet. And this year, I'm chronicling our Texas experiences. And, you know, we're tied in with Grapevine. And I think one of your members, he's not on tonight, but I think he's a Grapevine resident. He's already given me some philatelic ideas for that, but maybe we'll be interacting with you fellows as I chronicle our grapevine years.
That was Ken Wells.
Yep, sounds like Ken Wills. Thank you, John, and you did use the entire 5 minutes.
Oh,
With
I-
that, I'm going to turn it over to Peter. Peter, you got 5 minutes and no more.
Good luck with that.
We love you,
Well,
Pete.
so as you know, my big change here is like the Mid-City Stamp Club newsletters are at, I can get the site to come up. I guess I'm using up a lot of bandwidth here. Okay, there it is. So this is the site that I normally use or have been using for the last so many years to put the newsletter up that are public facing. Unfortunately, good old webs.com is getting shut down on me. Not my choice, theirs. They're owned by Vistaprint, and as a result, Vistaprint decided to do away with all free websites, you know, since it's not really good, you know, free isn't a good business model, because, you know, they have to pay for servers and people and whatnot. So I had to make a choice. You know, I could pay them under the Vistaprint brand now, and I'm going like, well, I have something like 12, 15, 20 websites at webs.com, and at $5 a month, that would cost me like $700, $800 a year, which I didn't feel like paying. So under my plan that I already have, I could actually create a brand new website where I'll put all of this, and it's, when you see it at the top of my screen here, just highlighted, it's called betweentheperfs.com. I try to do something that's kind of generic stamp related, but you know, unlike airports on stamps or Audi Philately or photo stamps or other stuff that I have, St. Vincent stamps, Wartax stamps, this way I can fold all of my other 12 sites into this one site. So what you're seeing here is I'm just still working on it, but I got till the end of March to finish it before everything else gets yanked. So I've done a few pages already. I've done some St. Vincent stuff here, not much, just beginnings of things, because I have to go through and do all of that. You know, airports on stamps is another one. So this goes along with the theme of what do I collect? You know, some items more than others. People used to kid me about, hey, if I don't get articles, I'm going to write about St. Vincent. That's actually never come true, and I still collect St. Vincent, but I haven't really touched them in years. Wartax stamps, I kind of did when I joined the club from 92 to maybe the late 90s, when at some point I think my exhibit, 10 frame exhibit got the grand award. So I haven't really touched that since. I dabble with airport firm stamps. And actually, this is not an airport I've been to Beckwith. I've been to Beckwith, but I got there by the proverbial slow boat, the ferry from main island of St. Vincent. I still, of course, dabble in collecting Audi stuff, but again, I have a lot of stuff here that I haven't transferred over yet. You can see here the generic fuchsia blended Lectus, you know, the text they give you when nothing is filled in. Working on some of these things, but these are things that I actively work on, as you know, as a computer vented postage and that. Photo stamps I don't have yet. You know, I have several sites with all that stuff in it. I give away tons and tons of free stamps. I mean, tens of thousands over the last 8 or so years. I get them from the APS, which I pay them postage to get them to me. I usually end up in the tub like you see here. I used to count them out and such, and I don't have the time for that, because to count out this tub into individual packets would probably take me 40 hours, and I don't have that time. So basically, I tell people, send me the postage, self-addressed stamped envelope, whatever, and I'll kind of put them in there so people get around ½ ounce to 3/4 ounce roughly, and you know, 100 to 200 stamps somewhere. And I've given away so-called 14 packets, sets of packets, even though this 14th one will be the one I'll be continuing to send off of. And I've sent away over 1,000 envelopes over the years. And again, I don't want to get bothered with mundane details. Anything you want to know about getting these is right here on this page. I do collect St. Vincent postcards. I don't have anything there yet. I also collect Swiss postcards. I have actually separate webs.com sites for every single one of these. I was some of the shorter sites where I was talking about Swiss transportation tickets. I pulled that over since that was basically a one-page site. I know at one point I had a My Life on Wheels one. There's Spanish ATM stamps, which I'm starting to work on. This one here has been kind of a bother. The only thing I don't like about this site is it does not let me easily import a table. In this case, I have a table with like 187 articles that I wrote for publications other than Mid-City Stamp Club. British Caribbean stamp news, global stamp news, and so on. The thing is, they only allow you 30 rows in a table, which I'm going, seriously? I have 187 here and I have like 1,000 of them for the Mid-City Stamp Club. Best I could figure out is I have to copy this in Times New Roman font, which is a non-proportional font. So every character takes exactly the same amount of space, and then maybe I can line this stuff up somehow. So either that, or I can put a link to a PDF file and people can download it rather than reading it. Eventually, I'll have some philatelic links here. I've already got the main links at the footer of my site. Somewhere along the line, I got a list of all post offices now to get a hold of them. So I just copied that over. And of course, Mid-City Stamp Club. So unlike my websites, which had a paltry 40 megabytes of space available, since I own this domain, I got a lot more space available. So I can put some newsletters here. I've only done, since I started this back in December, put a couple up. So yeah, if you click on this, it should open up a new window, and there's the new, newsletter that I just published. So it'll open up in a browser if you just click on it, or if you right click and you go like save link as. In my case, I'm in Chrome. Then it'll prompt you to download it, wherever you want to put it. And then I have some other stuff that doesn't relate to.
Your time's getting short, Peter.
Pretty sure. Okay. Well, anyway, I just wanted to give you an idea. That's kind of what I've been working on. Other than the newsletter, this is my philatelic time here, is working with my philatelic website. So key takeaway is that, webs.com is going away. I have to make a decision. And since I already own a site, I can park it there. There's a minor fee of $5 a month, but that's cheap compared to like $70 a month. And I own it rather than paying somebody else and they own it.
Thank you very much, Peter.
You're welcome. And I guess, let me see, stop share.
Okay, Gary, would you share with us your interests?
Yeah, if you can put it on speaker view, because I want to show a couple of things. But in terms of what I collect, it's basically US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the United Nations. And the only major English-speaking country I don't collect is Great Britain, and I'm thinking about starting one on that. Then how do you store and display? I use Easy Stamp to compile lists and valuation totals and keep track of what I have and don't have. And also I use Album Gen to create albums. And if you, let me see if I can put one of these pages up in front of my face here, but that's a page from the Australia album that I have. If I've given talks on both Album Gen and Easy Stamp in Granbury, but if anybody is interested in either one of those products, they can contact me and I'll be glad to talk about it with you. How I got my collection basically from club purchases, APS circuits, and some dealers by mail. And then finally, what are you doing to add or expand your collection? And I've got right now 3 boxes from Skip that are about this size and have about 300 glassines in each, in Scott order from Australia. So that's a very impressive collection of duplicates there that I can select from. And this is a club lot that's available at 20% of catalog value. So I'm going through that right now, and it's going to take me a little while to finish that. But if anybody collects Australia, they might want to check with Skip to see whether he could pass it on to them as well. And that's all I had.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate that. Let's go to Skip. You've been referenced here a couple times, Skip, and I know you do a lot for the club, and you've got a lot of stuff for the club for sale. Go ahead and tell us about your interests.
Well, when I first started out with this collecting stuff, I had inherited my dad's collection and he had collected the world. And Jack Irish, one time at when we had the Irving meetings, asked me what I collected, and I said everything. And he turned, I think, to Ken Wills and said, "Ah, a generalist." And there was a certain amount of skepticism in his voice when he said that. I have since found, of course, that being a generalist was a legitimate collecting interest prior to about 1960. With, as other people have mentioned, a lot of nations have gotten into issuing so many stamps that it's almost impossible to collect the world. But some people do attempt to do it. What I've been doing lately is revisiting various countries one at a time. And I just finished Australia, going through all the duplicates and all the little bits and pieces that wind up coming my way, and trying to put together a lot such that that Gary has there, where club members can go through and maybe find some stamps that they don't have that'll fit in their collection. The other thing I do with that, by the way, is some of those duplicates wind up as starter sets for the beginner section. And for some of the higher value kinds of things, I put together a silent auction lot. So since we didn't have one this past year, I've now got about 6 or 7 country auction lots. The catalog value on those lots run between $300 and $400. And I figure, well, if we can sell them for 10% of catalog, that'll be $20 or $30. And they're a pretty nice collection. I wash all these stamps, get all the excess glue and hinge remnants and all that stuff off. So, and I try to throw away the heavily postmarked ones and the any tears and that sort of thing. So they're pretty nice lots if anyone gets them. So that's about it for what I'm doing. And I just enjoy going back through and sorting and washing and putting together these collections.
Thank you. And thank you for all that you do for the club. Appreciate that. Rick, tell us about your world endeavors.
Okay, I'll see what I can do here. Let me try to share this with you. See if I can get it to work. I'm not sure I can get it to work.
Looks like a professional slideshow.
If I can get it to come up. There we go. That's showing up on your screen there?
What I collect.
Okay. So, like I say, to make it easier, I'll explain what I don't collect. I don't collect foreign postal history or any first day covers. Everything else is fair game. And my wife accuses me of being a stamp hoarder, but it hadn't gotten that bad.
Oh my God.
That's a mess there.
That is a mess.
But, you know, sometimes things like this show up around my house, pops up on occasion.
Are you under that pile?
I could very well be, you know. I have been known to do that. I've had stamps spread out all over the floor, and that's another story altogether. But I do consider myself an archivist, so I'll collect many multiples like this, and I hate to see stamps packed in boxes, loosely in boxes and things like that, because they tend to get damaged that way. And so what I am doing is actually putting them in Vario sheets to try to preserve the stamps. And then that way it gives me a reference to what I have in my collection. Like for these particular I think they're 1892 stamps, I have 28 Vario sheets for these actually stored. So,
All the same stamp?
well, no.
No, they're
Actually-
different. Okay. Okay.
Actually, I think that's an A88 illustration in Scott's, and I actually store them by the illustration number instead of trying to figure out which one is which when it gets with these early stamps like that. It can be
Okay.
extremely time consuming.
Yes.
And I have decided that I'm just going to store them like this, and I scan these things, and I can actually bring them up on a big screen TV and take a look at them really close up. So
Oh, yeah.
when you put a stamp up on a 60-inch screen, it makes a big difference.
That's got a pretty big picture. Yeah.
I do have a lot of 3-ring binders around the house, so
That looks like Stan's collection.
I'm sure there are a lot of collections out here that look like that. And my wife bought me a 60-drawer library card file for my birthday a while back.
Oh, how cool.
It's got full drawers of about 500 glassines each. There's about 3,000 glassines in there right now. Then when the stamps get to be overflowing the glassines, then I'll try to find Vario sheets for them. I also do postal history collection, and I house them in Scott cover binders. Now each of these binders holds, the way I've got them set up, around 300 envelopes. And I've got 23 volumes of those right now that are being cataloged. That's another one of the projects. So I'm currently looking for Texas pre-cancels, large multiples, early USA stamps. So if you guys have any boxes of 2-cent reds laying around, I'll be glad to take them off your hands. U.S. postal history covers with auxiliary markings. And right now I'm kind of concentrating on Texas Army airfield covers from World War II. So I'm trying to find examples of covers from each of those Texas Army airfields that was created during World War II as a training base. And I found a coffee cup that's suitable.
And you're not looking for therapy. No, you're just taking care of your therapy, looking for little stamps.
You got it.
Well, thank you, Rick. Appreciate that.
No problem. Let's see if I can get out of here now.
Have I missed anybody?
What about you?
I'll tell you about mine now, Judy. I
Okay,
just wanted to make sure I hadn't missed anybody.
think we've hit, did we get?
Okay. I got to admit that for the first 50 years of my collecting, I collected just US stamps and got to the point where I wasn't able to afford to get much each year, and was trying to fill an album, which I'm still working on. It takes, it's about 7 volumes of US stamps that I have. But I then decided about 20 years ago to broaden that and began collecting first Germany. And in that period of time since then, I've added several more countries or stamp issuing entities. And right now I'm up to 160 different stamp issuing entities in my less than worldwide collection. You know, I don't know what the number of stamp issuing entities have been, but
Close to 600 there, Dave.
is it? So you can see I've got just a small fraction of that.
Well, I can attest to that because I sent you all those album page files.
Yeah. Peter has helped me. My albums, mostly the foreign ones, consist of self-printed pages with files. Peter, where did those files come from?
Stampalbums.com, where I probably spent $100, $200 over the years subscribing to it, but they've got all the old stuff done, and now it's just them trying to keep up with whatever comes out current. And I don't need any of that stuff. So
Yep, and I belonged to that as well for years, and got many of the files and printed them and used them. My collection resides in about 65 albums. And as I said, 8 of these are US, and an album may contain one country or part of one country, or as many as 8 different stamp entities, stamp issuing entities, when they're very small and related. I have about 20% of my albums are commercial albums from Scott or other album houses. And I have made my job very simple in that most all of my collections end in 1960. So anything since 1960, for the most part, I'm not interested in. My US collection did go to 2005. In 2005, I decided I would stop buying the new issues, and I quit right there. So, but most of my foreign collections have to be, the stamps have to be 60 years old for me to be interested in, since that's 1960 is my cutoff date. I have over 40 stock books full of duplicates with 1 or 2 countries in each. I also have an interest in tuberculosis stamps, TB stamps, as a topical. And I have 2 binders full of that, and hope someday to put together an exhibit of stamps related to tuberculosis. I also have a small accumulation of Cinderellas that I keep adding to, and as well as holiday postal cards, censored mail, and advertising cards. One of my exhibiting items has been US modern official stamps, and I have an extensive accumulation of that and an exhibit of that. And that's pretty much what I collect, and have derived great joy from sharing and trading and searching and working with Skip to expand and find more and more stamps. I'm constantly looking at them. My wife wonders, how can I spend so many hours at my desk just poring over these little pieces of paper? But she knows where I am, so I'm safe. All right. That's great. Is there anything else that needs to come before this meeting?
Did we hear from
I'd
Fred?
like to ask one question.
Go ahead, Jane.
Yeah, I'd like to ask maybe a program in the future. If you watch the news has been full of fire and flood and tornado and hurricanes and all kinds of other disasters which are not healthy for little scraps of paper. What do you all do as far as insurance or covering the basis for the worst that could happen? What is involved in getting insurance? I know APS has a program, but
Yeah,
what is there available? What do you have to go through to get it? That might be something for a program if you've got an insurance man or specialist.
Well, there's 2 companies. I use both of them, one for stamps, one for
Peter?
coins, basically.
I'd suggest we leave this for a later discussion, because it's 8 o'clock already, and we could
Oh,
spend a
okay.
lot of time on it, Peter. But I think what Gene's suggesting is we focus a future meeting partly upon this subject, as well as possibly the storage of our stamps and our collections, that kind of thing. I think that's a good idea for future program. Thank you. Now, Judy, you were going to suggest something or say something?
Yeah, did we hear from Fred?
Yes.
I was first.
You were
He-
first. Well, see, you were.
That was a long time ago, Judy.
Yeah, my short term. Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody got covered.
Okay. All right, the next meeting of the Mid-City Stamp Club will be our Irving group, which will meet next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Is that right, Rick?
Arlington,
Irving.
No,
No?
no, the next, our next meeting will be next Wednesday, and that's the Arlington meeting, not yours.
That's what I meant. I meant the Arlington meeting.
Not,
Yeah.
not Irving. We're not doing Irving anymore.
Not Irving, Arlington, right. So that will also be a virtual meeting, and Skip will send out the notice on that one probably this weekend. And Rick will be hosting, and we thank you, Rick, for hosting this one and
No
for
problem.
hosting the other one.
Glad to
The
do it.
next Granbury branch meeting will be Tuesday, February 23rd at 7 o'clock. It will be a virtual meeting. And as I think I've said before, we'll continue our virtual meetings for Granbury at least through April, and then we'll assess it month to month from that time on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we held our first ULIS meeting, and we had very good attendance. So everybody here is invited to the ULIS Zoom, and that's on the third Wednesday at 7 o'clock.
Thank you, Stanley, for bringing that up. I intended to participate and forgot about it, to be honest.
Well, the drive to Granbury is much shorter now. I don't have to drive 190 miles.
That's right, Peter.
We had more people show up on Zoom at ULIS than ever come to ULIS.
All right. Is there anything else anybody would like to add? We can visit for a while.
I wanted to pose a question to Peter.
Yeah.
You know, we're making some headway on this new website, and I was wondering how you felt about possibly letting our newsletters reside there.
Oh, I don't care. I mean,
can get
the
that
APS is, yeah, the APS is already doing that as well. They have our permission to host our stuff as well. I mean, they might be around longer than we, who knows? But as long as people are out there reading stuff, that's what it's about, is to share the information. Since technically it costs more to print and mail the newsletter, just postage and paper and toner, than we take in dues. I mean, may as well just share it. We've been doing that, for 15 years now or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the groups.io site, you know, I mean, yeah, I use that as a way to pretty much have every newsletter on there right now. But I do keep it as a private group because it's also a discussion group. And, you know, with the internet, and there's a lot of questionable people that join some of these groups, especially if they're not moderated. And I don't have time or inclination to moderate everybody's messages. So I wanted that group to be just for the club, primarily for me to occasionally send out a message to the group. But we only had like maybe 20, 30, 40 people out of the 90 some that are members. But we do have every newsletter ever known on there. So all the way back to 73.
Okay.
And of course, it can be a discussion group as well, but I want to keep it to club only. So that's why I had that webs.com site as a more public facing one. And the current Mid-Cities website has 40 megabyte disk space, which is nothing for the site and everything that makes it up. The new one presumably will have more. I did briefly look at the link that Evan sent us at the ULIS meeting, but you know, even a couple of glaring things. Now, I don't personally know what Jim Myers has been doing as our webmaster on that new site, but some of the data there is still extremely outdated, even on the new site. So it certainly looks nicer, cleaner, more up to date. That's the key thing, but it needs to be kept up to date. You know, as long as Evan's, and as long as Evan's tool set allows me, just like the screenshot I showed earlier with the 2 or 3 recent newsletters on my own site now. I mean, that takes me I can do this in less than a minute to put, type up the link, create the link, and say publish the site, boom, done, and I'm out of there. So
I just wanted to check, see how you felt about making everything.
Well, no, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's just got to go up there. Since currently we don't have an easy way for me to do that short of HTML programming in the old site. And since the new site isn't live yet, then, just have to wait and see. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
As soon as it's ready.
I also have a question for Skip. How many members do we have now?
About 60.
About 60. So we've gone up quite a bit then.
I get a,
exposure.
I get a dues check almost every day. They just sort of
Flow coming
filter
in.
in.
Okay. I'll make a notice of that on the website. Maybe we'll get some more that way. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. I thank everybody for your participation, and I hope you found the program somewhat interesting. And,
Yes, we
Absolutely.
did. Yes.
and if you've got suggestions for future programs, I'm open to that, or if you want to volunteer to present something. Rick is excellent at running this thing, and we can show PowerPoint presentations from any one of us.
Yep, absolutely. And actually at the Euless meeting, I ran a little video for people, so that worked out pretty well too, I think.
It went very well.
Okay. We can actually do some canned videos. I have quite a collection of canned videos now, so I've been online so much.
All right.
More of us will have to learn what John has learned about sharing and being able to show things from our screens.
Yes.
But you did nicely, John.
Hey, Judy, let me give you a suggestion. When you turn Zoom off tonight,
Uh-huh.
see if there's a function on your computer that'll let you turn the camera around
Okay. Well,
after you get out of Zoom.
also going to call out the Geek Squad. I'm having issues with my desktop. It's running real slow. So I figured when they come out, they're gonna fix this problem with my Surface.
Well, put a little yellow sticky note on the screen that says, "Fix my camera, please."
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you all be safe and protect yourself, and hope you're all able to get the COVID shots shortly if you haven't already started.
Keep up the good work, fellows. It's excellent programming.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
John.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Good job.
We'll see you, Stan and Judy.
See you, Dave.
Take care.
Adios.
All right.